There are no diseases that cannot be healed or cured. There are patients who don't want to be treated. Therefore, when a person is afflicted with immobility and they want to restore their body's structure, they must apply the science of Kriya Yoga. Kriya is present in everything. Not as the spiritual framework of Hinduism. Kriya is not Hinduism, it is cosmic knowledge. Yoga is a universal path to realization of life as a whole. Among the people who watch our programs, there are those who, unfortunately, due to a number of circumstances, have certain physical limitations. However, they do wish to practice Kriya Yoga. Among other things, the Kriya practice technique involves a number of specific physical exercises. What would your advice be to those who cannot do it because of an illness or some other circumstances? They have physical limitations. Yoga is a universal path to realization of life as a whole. That's why there is always a way, and there are always possibilities. To some degree, these possibilities can be applied. It all depends on how eager a person is and whether they know how to do it. There is always a way to help, no matter what situation the person is in. We have a number of examples of that. There are incurable diseases. We are now talking not only about bodily physical limitations. There are, according to mainstream science and official medicine, incurable diseases, which can be easily cured by yoga. And there are indeed a number of examples. We even have people in our current system who have been healed of incurable diseases. And it is wonderfully good fortune. Why am I saying this? I am saying this so that people understand that in reality, there are no diseases that cannot be healed or cured. There are patients who don't want to be treated. There are people who do not believe in it. That's why our task, first and foremost, is to inspire people, make them consciously aware, help them change so that they choose to act. For this purpose, we need to work with such people. Or their loved ones must help them. There are people who come to our seminars and say, you know, we have relatives whom we want to help, but they cannot come to you due to some limitations. So we came to study your method. Will we be able to help our loved ones? Definitely. This is exactly why you came here, because everything is so very much thought out from above. Then again, due to circumstances, causation, people get into these or those situations. Astrology definitely plays a role. However, whatever it is, whatever is going on, there is always a way to help the person who is on the path to knowledge. Now, about the Kriya practice in particular, let's say that a person's arms are paralyzed, or their legs, God forbid, but they are conscious. We see many cases when people with atrophied parts of their bodies, sometimes their lower body as a result of a car accident, or maybe they have brain damage, etc., applying effort through the power of their imagination and concentration techniques, are able to restore their organs and systems to health and even grow new organs that have been removed. There is a lot of evidence of it today. These are not fairy tales. Pyotr Petrovich Garyev, a well-known scientist, our Russian scientist, an academician dealing with the problems of genetics, was conducting experiments on reviving or growing removed organs inside a human body. And this is all documented. We have all this. We have this power. Because the life force, prana, contains all the knowledge of how things should be. If you work with it, you can recreate anything. That said, one does have to put in an effort to keep the faith, striving and working on self-improvement every day. Then one can be reborn. The principle is that of the mythical, mystical bird phoenix who is burnt in the flames and is later reborn from its ashes. This is a very effective principle. It is within us. If a person can't, let's say, perform some asanas, it's not really necessary, because the whole realization of his spiritual sphere resides in the spine. Arms and legs are not that important in spiritual practice. Awareness is important. What goes on inside your divine cave or vessel of transcendental power is important. It includes the spine, brain, spinal cord, and medulla oblongata. Therefore, when a person is afflicted with immobility and they want to restore their body's structure, they must apply the science of Kriya Yoga, meaning this person builds new neural connections and a new central nervous system, establishes direct and reverse connections, restores structures, organs, or the whole system. This is a process of energization or awakening neural connections, a powerful level of body energization. We have this knowledge. However, I have to stress that, unfortunately, we cannot provide help for the large number of people who have problems and work with each one of them individually. Because there are quite a lot of people who need it. My goal is to pass on knowledge. Our goal is to transfer knowledge that helps people do the work of self-improvement. Naturally, we help, we answer questions, we find a way to guide. But I want to emphasize that we are not healers. We are not a proper clinic that can now receive people in order to heal them. Healing happens as a result of your spiritual practice. However, often enough, people come to us for help and advice, and we do what we can. To sum up the answer to your question, there are no incurable diseases, but there are patients who cannot be cured. There is knowledge, there is always knowledge, as to how we can help ourselves in this or that situation, how a person can pull themselves out of this or that situation, even how to root out a disease, because we base our approach on science. Some may choose to endure and keep going, carry their cross, as they say. But there is a way to turn enduring into awareness, acceptance, and transform it all. One of my, not really fears, but sometimes I think about it, what would it be like? God forbid, of course, but being creative has its pluses and minuses. If I found myself a prisoner in my own body, which was motionless, and I would be alone and trapped inside it, what kind of work would I do within myself? What would I do, alone with myself? This is when a person should be initiated into the knowledge what is to be done. Yes, there is specific knowledge. Again, it is Kriya, it's yoga. What did Bruce Lee do after he fractured his spine? He was hurt, he was broken, cut off. His lower body did not work at all for close to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. He worked on his injuries lying down. He visualized. He tried to create new neural connections. In his mind, he tensed up the legs he did not feel. He imagined that he was doing knee bends, visualized kicking, and gradually built those connections back. He repaired his spinal cord, restored neural connections. It works. Can a relative of someone who is physically limited and cannot attend your seminar come to you for training? Learn the practice, receive Kriya, and later transfer it to some extent to help, to bring relief, to improve the condition of those who need help? Absolutely. Indeed, many people do just that. During a 2-day seminar, a person receives 6 stages of self-realization. The first 3 stages deal with body energization. The other 3 are dedicated to advanced techniques. So people who could not attend our seminar and need help, we can pass the 3 stages to them. Let me briefly explain. It is body energization in a seated position, 42 energization kriyas in a standing position, sound and light meditation, and breathing meditation. This is more than enough for someone to be restored, to revive themselves, provided that they practice regularly. Generally, it takes anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to master this technique, to learn everything well. We believe that the 42 kriyas, if practiced regularly from 6 months to 9 or 12 months, Depends on how hard the person is working on their practice. These 42 Kriyas are capable of healing the body. I mean, it works. It really works. Why? It works because these techniques are tied to transformations in the brain, to awakening neural connections and interhemispheric connections in the brain. All this is connected to your conscious effort to achieve a high level of awareness. So a person who could not attend a seminar can still get this knowledge. By the way, we have videos. We have audio materials as well. We have books and booklets that we have prepared for those who are interested. People can use them to practice. And what if a person is completely immobilized, meaning that they are not capable of any physical activity at all? Such situations must be approached with all seriousness. We have to look at their astrological charts. We have to consider their karmic dependency. We have to look into their past karmic deeds. What is the reason for this pathological condition, for this situation? What can be done to help this person right now? This is what helping means, working with what is. We have to have an understanding as to what it is at the core of the situation and how we can work with it. Okay, here's another answer. Let us say we do not know this person's astrological background, we just have this person, and there is also someone who has some knowledge as to how to help them. He begins to create conditions that encourage the immobilized person to move again. First, they begin to move in their imagination, and through their imagination and the power of conviction, they begin to build neural connections. Gradually, the central nervous system, or to put it simply, the brain, begins to build new connections to the organs and body systems in place of those that were lost. Imram, doesn't it only work if the person has complete faith in their rather subtle and for some downright mystical processes? What if the faith is not there? If a person does not believe in it, or rather not fully convinced, but really wants to help their loved one? If he really wants to help his loved one, he would have to pass his faith on to the one who lacks faith. But if a person downright refuses, it means that it is his fate. It means that he wants to stay the way he wants to be, or does not want to be. Indeed, he would have to stay that way. I will give you an example. There is this famous neuroscientist, professor and author, a very active public figure. His name is Joe Dispenza. He has a big presence on the internet today. You know, I was pleasantly surprised when I watched a few of his broadcasts. Word to word, he said the same things I say during my Kriya seminars. I have a feeling that he watched my videos too. It would be great. If it is the case, it is a good thing. And if not, it is even more interesting. Because he skillfully grasped and adapted the concept of Kriya Yoga that I teach. And it is traditional practice that has been around for thousands of years. Let me tell you his story. He was injured in a car accident and was left immobilized. And his doctors gave up on him. They said he would be disabled. They could only offer a very difficult surgery that would leave him unable to do anything for the rest of his life. So this young man refused the surgery and began to work on healing himself intuitively. He began to educate himself and followed his intuition as he worked on his body. He also had some knowledge that helped him build his character, his determination, and understanding how to work with his body. So what did he do? Exactly what we teach through the Kriya technique. He began to immerse his consciousness into his body and began to feel his body, with his mind reaching directly into the sensation, and by doing so, recreating neural connections. It is exactly what we do when we practice Kriya Yoga. Still, in Kriya Yoga, this is not the framework that concludes the practice. It is the foundation that leads us to the level of spiritual transformation, all the way to cosmic awareness. To achieve this, we must prepare our instrument. So we work on energization. Today, Joe Dispenza advises people on ways of pulling themselves out of despondence, depression, and pathological states. In fact, what he is using is a part of Kriya Yoga, and he is doing it in exactly the right way. What's more, he has a laboratory. He has been putting it all to test for many years now. He talks about meditation, and he says the right things. He is a very good light worker. I do accept this man with all my heart because I see that I don't want to say he is enthusiastic per se, he does everything right, he gets it right. Still, he is not a Kriya yogi. But if we, let's say, met today and talked, it would be very easy for us to do it because everything would be quite clear. Because the initial basic level of knowledge that he shares with people as he travels all over the world is comprised precisely of Kriya Yoga elements. That's what I'm talking about. Kriya is present in everything. Not as the spiritual framework of Hinduism. Kriya is not Hinduism. It is cosmic knowledge that is based on the understanding that if you work with your consciousness and your brain, your body will be transformed. I show the way to do it during our practice. Quite often, those people whose loved ones struggle with health issues, hopefully temporary issues, need as much strength as the ones who are ill. In order to sustain themselves, not to break down, to wake up every day and help these people who are physically and sometimes mentally afflicted, what should they do? Where can they find strength? Would you help them see where they may find the strength that they need every day, every minute, every moment? They should look for strength within themselves. God is within us. To look for strength is to look for God, because the strength on which an ordinary person can rely is not enough. That's why when a person finds himself in this or that situation, God forbid a loved one gets sick, God forbid he himself gets sick, this is due to his karmic activity, ancestor karma, or family karma. For example, when a family member is in ill health, those who love them cannot leave them to deal with it alone. If a person needs strength to get things done, to work in society, to live their life, maybe somehow enjoy a little entertainment in a good sense of the word, and they also have to dedicate themselves entirely to the care of a sick person, they do need a lot of strength for all that. They need the miracles of the spirit of healing, or shall we say the healing spirit. What is needed is this powerful energy of love and compassion. Where does one find it? It is found in prayer and meditation. In addition to the direct responsibilities of caregiving, a person has to take care of themselves to have more energy, which would allow them to give that kindness to those who need it. And at the end of the day, they may be able to perform a miracle through their own actions. Or the Creator may perform the miracle of healing because the person finds true faith. If it does not happen, it means that such as this person's karma and their fate, and they are meant to go through this in their life. It also means that the person who takes care of a sick loved one is also subject to this karma. However, if you still want to get rid of karma, you will find a way to do it. Why? Because even the worst karma may be withdrawn if you appeal to the highest power. Or it could be scaled back 50%. And this is a lot. So if you cannot cope, my advice is to appeal to the high within you. You find yourself unable to cope for a reason. Your predicament forces you to appeal to the high. People develop diseases because they do not appeal to the high. People develop diseases because they do not understand that the Creator they heard about needs unity. And you too need unity with Him. Of course, we can say that He is transcendent. He does not need anything. He is free in Himself. This isn't quite the case. We should channel the radiance of love, which we receive as life's gift, to gratitude and love for the high. It happens within us. That's why life has those moments when a person is compelled to turn to their inner self, turn to God. Once you have done it, you will need some time to strengthen your commitment. Healing does not happen right away. It happens when a person finds real faith, when they go all in. Then it will happen. Then it makes no sense to punish or continue to punish a person. But if a person is not yet completely convinced, if their faith is not strong enough, if there is none of that bright, powerful burst of energy, indeed, until they cry out to God and beg for help with healing, until God sees this powerful outburst of forceful persuasion of faith, then the person will have to wait a bit longer. With time, their wish will still come true. People are always healed. They always receive grace. The Creator has never left a child of His without help. But the child often ignores his father, the one who gave him life, when he gets distracted. That's why life throws them a curveball. Fate twists around them, so that the only way out is to look for God within themselves. Within themselves, nowhere else, because He is here. Imram, thank you so much. This was rather a complex and painful subject for many in our audience. I personally believe and really hope that your advice will help many people. My advice is merely pointing to what is possible, because unfortunately it is impossible to tell you everything in a conversation like this one. But I am confident that an opportunity arises in every person's life, and he will win if he takes advantage of it. Thank you so much. Thank you.